Hello, welcome everybody. It has been a while since I've done one of these, so thank you all so much for joining in. Hi, it's good to see you all again. I don't know where the year has been. I don't know how it is already March. I don't know how it is already the almost 1 year anniversary. Hey Robin, how are you? Hi. That we've all been in quarantine. Thank you. I love my t-shirt too. This is my Panda Mama shirt. I love pandas, and I got lots of panda t-shirts for Christmas this year. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and jump in as folks are joining because I've got lots of stuff here to show you guys because, like I said, it's been about 2 months since I've done one of these. So I've got lots of new stuff to share with you, give you a closer look, and then I'm going to chat a little bit about embroidery hoops. Show you all different kinds of hoops that are out there and available, let you know what I use, the kinds of hoops that I use for different kinds of projects, and which ones are my favorites. So let me start off with the two newest things that just got added to the shop today and over the weekend. I am now carrying Appleton's Wool Crewel Wool Thread. Hello, everybody. I have it in 49 different colors. This wool thread comes from England. It has been made by the same company for like 187 years or something. It's made from the wool of British sheep, and it's really, really lovely. Something that I recently started playing around with wool thread in my embroidery. It's crewel thread, so it's traditionally used in crewel work. But I have started using wool, this kind of thread in my embroidery for when I'm stitching hair or animals, like animal fur. If you can see, it has like a slightly fuzzy texture to it. So it gives your work this kind of really interesting texture. It's also really great for couching stitches. If you like doing the drop cloth samplers, and you know Rebecca is a master at putting all sorts of different threads and textures and weights into her samplers, these work really well for if you kind of want that. This is great for couching stitches. And if you don't know what a couching stitch is, it's you take a strand, and then with another thread, you anchor your strand onto your fabric with little stitches. And so this would be underneath, and then you would really get to see kind of the fuzzy texture of it. So this is a non-divisible single strand thread. If you use 2 strands of it, like if you were to fold it over, it becomes about the thickness of a size 5 pearl cotton. And like I said, this is brand new, just got added into the shop today, and I've got 49 colors. And then the other new thread that I have is the Soie d'Alger silk threads. I've got 46 colors of these beautiful, beautiful threads. If you have never stitched with silk thread before, it is an absolute joy. This is great for floral embroidery. It really gives a beautiful pop of color to your flowers. So I only grabbed a couple of colors here, but I've got 46 different colors. This thread is made in Paris, and this is there are 7 strands in here. I'm not sure if you can see. Let me try to divide that out a little bit for you. So there's 7 strands. This one is divisible, so you can pull this apart to bring it down to like just 2 strands if that's all you want to use, 1 strand if you want to do really delicate stitches, or you can use all 7 together, and this is about the thickness of about a size 8 pearl if you were to stitch with all 7 together. So you get 5 meters of thread on the skein. And I have all of these are available either as individual skeins, or I've grouped them by color families, and so you can buy the sets as color families. This stuff was super popular the silk is no, it's not really slippery. It's very, very soft. It's super duper soft, but it is not. It's really a pleasure to work with. It's not finicky. It's not like trying to think. It's definitely not tough like metallic threads or anything like that. This is very, very easy to stitch with. It glides right through. It threads really nicely. It's really, really a lovely thread. Is the Appleton in sets as well. Yes, the Appleton is the same thing. It's either I have them. You'll see them on the site. The pictures. You'll see the whole color set together, and inside you'll be able to choose whether you want just one color or if you want the whole color family. So both of them. And are both of these threads washable? I am not 100% sure on the silk whether that's washable. I believe that the wool is washable. So yes, any other questions that come up about these threads as you're joining in? Thank you everybody for coming in. Just go ahead and pop them in. I'll try to answer what I can. So that is the threads are kind of the big new addition that just got put into the shop. I'm going to be placing an order to restock these tomorrow. So I will hopefully have all of these colors and color sets back within a couple of weeks. Because like I said, lots of folks really love this stuff and grabbed. There's still a lot of individual skeins left, but the full color sets, I think I'm running pretty low on those. So, but they'll be back, don't worry. All right. In addition to all the threads, I got lots of fun new notions in recently. If you have been seeing my Instagram posts, I have these new book rings. They are for keeping your thread bobbins organized. They also work really well for keeping sashiko braids organized. I love these. As you can see, I'm using them all over the place. What makes these great, I have them in 3 sizes. There's the 4-inch, the 6-inch, and this is the 8-inch, which is really big. It's got this twist lock on top. So you unscrew that and then it opens up so that you can put your threads and bobbins inside of these hoops. And then you can twist it closed and it stays really nice and secure. It's got this flat side here, so you can either hold it by the flat side or if you want to keep all your threads down here and avoid the joint part, then you can hold it this way instead. So these are really handy, have been super popular. And again, there's more. I have lots of the 8-inch, and I think I've got 1 or 2 of the 4-inch left. The 6 inches are sold out, but again, I should have more of those coming in next week. I have these new needle identification cards, which are a lot of fun. Because if you're like me and you have kind of needles all over the place, stuck into random pin cushions, and you can't quite remember what kind of needle it is, what size it is, these needle ID cards have true to life pictures of I think there's 6 or 8 different kinds of needles in here. And so you can hold up your needle to the picture and identify what kind of needle it is and what size needle it is. There's cards for sharps, crewel needles, milliners, betweens, chenille, and tapestry. So these cards help you identify what your needles are that you have in your collection in case you have mislabeled them or they've just gotten mixed up over time. So these are really handy. They are laminated cardstock, and so they're really sturdy. And they also have these neat kind of 1/4 inch measurements on the top. So if you need a quick little ruler, and they have these fun facts about different needles written on the back of them too. So they are an awesome tool to have. And they come in this little storage case so that you can keep them nice and organized. So those are fun. I have a new set of tweezers. These are the Pinzette tweezers, and they come with this leather storage case. These are kind of professional tweezers for pulling out your stray threads or stitches when threads go wrong. What I really, really like about these is the wide body. It gives you a perfect place to hold it. So you have a lot of control in order to pull out your stitches or stray threads. When I posted about these a couple weeks ago, I pull out stitches more often than I care to admit, because I'll start stitching something and I end up not liking how it looks, and so I end up pulling. Oh, thank you. Okay, so someone said the bowen needles that I recommended on my last live, they really don't bend, and you're really happy that you got them. I agree with you completely. I have switched over to the same bowen. I think it was the embroidery, the multi-pack, the 3 to 9 ones, and I love them. I'm really tough on my needles. I tend to, if I were to bring my needle assortment here, they're all like bent, and those bowen ones are fantastic. They do not bend. They are great. But these tweezers it's got a really sharp angled tip, and it being able to hold it like this, it's an angled tip, and then it's got kind of a beveled edge in there. I don't know if you can see that at all. So these are really, really lovely, great high quality tweezers. So if you do a lot of unstitching, if you end up with little threads in your work, and you're looking for, I use tweezers all the time. They're in my little embroidery kit that I keep with me. So tweezers are kind of one of my essential tools, and these are they're called the Pinzette, if you want to search for those and take a look at those. I have some new thimbles from Little House. Hello, everybody, of Japan. This is a leather thimble, but it's made to look like denim. So it looks like a denim thimble, but it's actually leather. It's really super duper soft cowhide. And what is cool about these is that if you can see, the seam is only at the sides of the thimble. So there's no seam across the top. So there's nothing hitting your finger, hitting the top of your finger. There's nowhere here for your needle to get poked into or stuck. It's a really sturdy, super sturdy, really nice thick thimble. So these come in medium or large. I'm wearing the large here. My hands are a little chubby. The large fits me well, but it is a little bit loose. So I actually would probably use the medium. It's a little bit snug, but it's not going anywhere. So the large is a pretty good sized large. Usually with the Japanese thimbles, I recommend going up a size because they tend to be on the smaller side. Like the Little House rubber thimbles are like the small of the Little House rubber thimbles are really, really tiny. So for those, I usually recommend you go up a size, but the large is a pretty generous large. So when you're picking which size you might want to go with, I would probably go with the medium because that one would be a little bit tighter, which I think I would like better. If you haven't seen these, I have, these are spray mister bottles. And I use this when I am pressing out my embroidery before I start working on it, my sashiko, when I'm quilting, What this does, I'm gonna see if, I don't know if you can see this, but it sprays a really fine mist of water. So instead of getting droplets all over your fabric, you get this super duper fine mist that makes pressing your fabric out really nice and easy. So these are, I think they're just called mister bottles. If you want to search for them, these are great. And then you just refill it with water and they work great. Recently, I added a new designer to the shop. I now have Junebug and Darling cross stitch kits. I love her kits. They are, cross stitch was my first love. That's the very first, I taught myself how to cross stitch when I was a kid. And that's when I got older and I started getting back into needlework. This was the first thing that I got back into. I still love cross stitch. I don't do it as often as I used to, but I love her designs. They're so bright and colorful and modern. So I've got about 5 or 6 different kits. What is awesome about her kits is that they include absolutely everything that you could possibly need. They have your hoop, your fabric, your thread, your needles. She even has batting and felt for you to be able to finish your hoop completely. So her kits they're really complete. They're fantastic. They're really well put together, really thoughtfully put together. And there are 5 of them. There's also a maker kit that is a large 10-inch hoop that I didn't grab. But there's these 5 different kits. So if you want to go check those out, those are up on the shop. I got these new marking tapes in recently. And so what these are is they're almost washi tape like, and they come in packs of 3. You have the 1/4 inch, the 1/8 of an inch, and the 1/12 of an inch markings. What you can do with these is you can stick this onto what you're stitching and it will help you evenly space out your stitches. Last month, I was teaching a couple of classes for QuiltCon, and one of the classes that I taught was how to make this memory scarf, this Boro-inspired memory scarf. And one of the questions that I got repeatedly from the folks in the class was, how do you make your stitches so even? Because I don't draw a pattern on this, I just kind of stitch organically. I've been doing sashiko for a really long time. It's just muscle memory. I don't use any sort of pattern, but I know that when you're starting out and you don't kind of have that muscle memory built, something like this would be really helpful because you can lay a line of this tape down on top of your fabric. It's archival quality, that it's not going to leave any sort of residue on your fabric. So you can just pull a piece off, stick it down, and it's going to be a stitching guide for you to evenly space out your stitches. This can also be really helpful in embroidery work as well when you're wanting to space your stitches out. So these come in a set of 3 with the 1/4 inch, 1/8 of an inch, and 1/12 of an inch markings on them. Let's see. The very popular soapstone bowls just came in today, the latest restock of them. So I have a few. If you're a fan of these, you will notice that some designs keep disappearing. So these are made by a group of artisans in Kenya. They make small batches of them. There's no guarantee. They don't kind of keep making the same designs. So I get what I can, and I get as much as I can, but I can't always get the same designs back. So if you see something that you like, grab it, because I can't always guarantee that I'm going to be able to restock them. A good example is this used to be red in the shop, but the red color was sold out. So now the floral design is in this deep purple color. But there are more of these soapstone bowls are back in the shop again. The little hippo is back, and a couple of the deep bowls are back. There are some new So Fine thread gloss scents in the shop. There's lime and sugarcane. There's this one called Lush, and then there's this one called Karma. These are The last batch that I had were more of the fall winter scents like chai and there was oak barrel cider, I think. So she's kind of discontinued the fall scents and she's moved into these more floral, bright spring scents. So I also have the lavender, goddess, and the natural, but these are the 3 new ones. Let's see. Moving over to stationery stuff, there is a lot of fun new stationery. If you like washi tape, there's a ton of great new washi tape. This comes from Girl of All Works, and she has just some really, really fun designs. There are some zombie pets, because who doesn't need zombie pet washi tape? There's butterflies and Little Red Riding Hood, cactuses, bees, all sorts of things. So if you like washi tape, there's lots of fun new washi tape in the shop. Hi everybody, thank you so much for joining. I also am stocking some of her page flags in all different designs. We've got butterflies and gardens and oceans and there's the Strong Girl flags as well. So these flags, if you're like me, I have my cookbooks and craft books tend to look like this, with tons of just little random scraps of paper marking recipes or projects that I want to do or check out. So since I got these thread flags, I have started going through and replacing all of those crazy little pieces of paper with the flags. And so this is what they look like. They're like Post-it notes. So this part is not sticky, it's just paper. And then this is the sticky part here, but it doesn't leave any sort of residue. It's really like a cute little Post-it note to help you mark your pages and projects. So those page flags are now in the shop as well. I got a whole bunch of new stickers in the shop today. There are washi Shiba Inus. This is washi paper stickers, so they've got a really cute texture. There's all sorts of, if you keep a planner, there's lots of new planner stickers. These are all also washi ones. There's gold. These are for helping you mark out, like if you have a special event that you want to mark off. These are washi stickers, so they're see-through, so you can put these over like the date on your planner if you want to signify a special date. These are exercise ones if you want to remind yourself to exercise. And then there's some new washi stickers for camping. So lots of new stickers and washi tape. And there's also, if you haven't seen these yet, these are some new cards and notepads that are in the shop. These are really fun. It's a card pack, and they are these fun kind of, you fill in the blank, fill in the names, and then you get to pick different greetings. So there's a couple different packs of these. And then there are these Hello Today notepads. If you like to keep track of to-do lists, it's a really cute little notepad of, what you really need to get done today, what you might get to someday. So there's all of these are all brand new in the shop. There's these new Sumo Grip mechanical pencils. They come in 3 different lead widths, the 0.5, 0.7, and 0.9. If you like to do the Lightbox method to transfer your embroidery patterns, these are great. They're just really, really comfortable to write with. I was transferring a pattern. I use iron-on transfer pens is my favorite way to transfer my patterns. But I was transferring one yesterday and tracing it, and it had a lot of details. And so my hand got really tired. So these pencils are actually really great for if you're doing like really detailed transfers. It has a super long twist eraser. It's like 6 times longer than a normal mechanical pencil. So these are the new Sumo Grip mechanical pencils that are in the shop. I have lots of new thread sets. If you have been watching on Instagram, hola Rosie. This year I am doing the Sarah Beth Timmons monthly calendar subscription. So every month she puts out a new pattern for that month. I'm almost done with February. We just got the March one. And with Sarah's permission, I am putting together thread sets because I'm converting her. She uses DMC. You all know I love to stitch with Cosmo. So I'm converting all of her charts into Cosmo colors. And then I have the thread sets that coordinate with those patterns in Cosmo in the shop. So like this is the January thread set. This is the March one that just came in. So even if you're not doing her patterns, she's got an incredible eye for color, and I love the way she puts colors together. So if you just really like her color sets, there are these are now available as sets in the shop, and I've also added a couple other sets. Like this is the Cosmo Neutrals collection, so it's all of their whites, grays, and black is in here. I think there's 12 of them in here. So there's several new thread sets in the shop as well. I think that is everything new that I pulled to show you all. If I find something else as I move things around, I'll pull that up. But so let me talk to you a little bit about embroidery hoops. Hi everybody. So embroidery hoops. Who could have guessed that there would be so many, right? My favorites, which if you see me stitching, I'm almost always using this hoop. So let's start here. This is my favorite hoop. It is the Eversewn 7-inch hoop. The only downfall with these is that it only comes in a 7 or a 4-inch, and sometimes you need a different size. But there's several reasons why I love this hoop. It holds tension really, really well. So if you can see, it has a raised ridge on the inside, and then it has the matching divot on the inner hoop. So these two interlock, and they hold your fabric really nice and tight. It doesn't, as you're stitching, it doesn't loosen. You don't have to retighten. I love this hoop. I love that it has a really nice big tightening knob here. And I also love that the inside screw is encased in this plastic piece, so your thread doesn't get stuck in here as you're stitching. As you're doing French knots, you're doing whatever. This is my absolute favorite hoop that I stitch in almost all the time. Mostly what you see out there, which you almost always see, are wooden embroidery hoops, right? I personally don't often like stitching in wooden hoops. For me, when I stitch, I like my fabric to be really, really tight. Wooden embroidery hoops tend to not hold fabric tension that great as you're stitching. It tends to slide out. A trick, if you do like stitching with wooden hoops, a trick is to wrap your inner hoop. There's a blog post on my blog on how to do this. I have it step by step. This is twill tape. You take your twill tape, you wrap your inner hoop, and this will help keep your fabric tension a little tighter while you're stitching if you choose to stitch in a wooden hoop. The other issue that comes up with wooden hoops is that because it is a natural material, wood can absorb the oils from your hand as you're stitching. So if you're working on like an heirloom project, really fancy thread, and you're working on it for a really long time, a wooden hoop can transfer the oil from your hands onto the hoop and onto your fabric. So that's something to kind of keep in the back of your mind. I don't really do that kind of stitching, so that's not a huge concern for me, but that is a reason why sometimes folks don't stitch in wooden hoops. I frame in wooden hoops all the time, and I love that you can stain a wooden hoop, you can paint a wooden hoop to give it a different look. There's all manner of different wooden hoops out there. I really like the F.A. Edmonds hoops, which is the ones that I stock in the shop. And yeah, yes, we don't often think about all this. Well, I think we've all learned a lot in the last year about all the stuff that's on our hands. But yeah, you never think about the sweat and the oils and stuff that are on your hands and how that gets transferred onto your fabrics. So these are the F.A. Edmonds hoops that I love. As some of you know, the 6-inch hoop of this, there are no 6-inch wooden hoops anywhere right now. I have been searching. I've searched through like the 3 top distributors in the US. Nobody has 6-inch wooden hoops right now. It's kind of crazy. The 6-inch size of this, the F.A. Edmonds standard hoop, has been out since like November. They were supposed to have them back in mid-February, and the last update I got is that maybe the end of March. So if you're looking for 6-inch hoops, they are kind of tough to find right now. So these are kind of your standard wooden hoop. What I really like about their hoops, they're really nice and sturdy. They're sanded smooth, so you don't get splinters. Your fabric doesn't snag on it. This is a really nice wooden hoop. They also have, this is a hardwood beech wooden hoop. And what's nice about this one is to tighten it, you can actually stick a screwdriver in here and give it a really nice turn if you want to get this super duper tight. So that's what's really nice about these kinds of the beech hardwood hoops with the brass screw on top. There are bamboo wooden hoops. I'm not a huge fan of these. I find that bamboo hoops tend to splinter quite a bit, and I've gotten some kind of fabric snags and little, not full splinters, but just uncomfortable in my hands. The benefit of bamboo hoops is they're really, really light. So if the weight of a hoop, if you've been stitching for a really long time, the weight of your hoop comes to matter because your hand gets really tired of holding that hoop. So bamboo hoops are really light. So that is a benefit of bamboo hoops. But for me, they're really slippery. They don't hold the tension the way that I like. And like I said, I find that they tend to splinter quite a bit. So I'm not the biggest fan of bamboo hoops, but that is an option. Square hoops, there are square hoops out there. There's a couple that are made by, I think it's pronounced Nerge. It's a German company. They're a little hard to come by, but there are square wooden hoops out there if you're looking for. If you are looking for a square hoop option, the Q-Snap is fantastic. If you've never seen one of these are called Q-Snap frames, and the way that they work is you take the little brackets off, you slide your fabric on top of the plastic frame, and then you hold it in place with these little brackets. The cool part about these is that when they come apart really easily, so when you're not using them, you can pull them all apart and they store flat. And you can also mix and match the different sizes to make yourself a really large rectangle if you prefer that. I use Q-Snap frames for cross stitch all the time. This is my cross stitch preferred hoop. They are fantastic at holding tension really nice and tight. it doesn't slip. This has been in this frame for longer than I should admit, like probably 2 years. And it is just as drum tight as when I put it in there. And if it does start to slip a little, all you have to do is rotate this top bar, and it'll tighten the fabric right back up for you. So Q-snaps are my favorite for cross stitch. Use them all the time. Q-snaps are also what I used when I was teaching my daughters how to do sashiko. When I do sashiko, I do it in hand. I don't use a hoop at all. But when I started teaching my daughters when they were quite small, they were probably about 5 or so at the time. So their little hands couldn't hold all of the fabric from a sampler. So I popped the samplers into an 11-inch Q-snap frame, and that let them focus on the stitching and not worry so much about handling all of the fabric. So that's another great use for the Q-snap frames. These are, like I said, they're really handy. I don't embroider in them very often because they are thicker. I just have more trouble kind of getting in to the center to be able to do kind of fancier stitches, and I find it a little bit clumsier in my hands. So these aren't my favorite for doing embroidery. Some people love them, but these are my go-to for cross-stitch projects, is the Q-snap frames. They come in 6, 8, 11, and 17, I think. And then, like I said, you can interchange, so you can take an 8-inch and a 6-inch and mix them together and end up with a 6x8 rectangle if that's what you prefer. So the Q-snaps are really handy. These are from the folks that make the Cosmo embroidery floss. These are one-touch hoops because all you do is you pull on this little metal tab and the 2 rings come apart. There's no screw on them, so it just is a really clean hoop. Again, I don't love stitching in this because it doesn't, for me, it doesn't hold the tension. I think this is a beautiful framing hoop. When I give hoops away as gifts, I very often use this as the framing hoop because it just gives you a really clean look since you don't have a screw, and it just is a really, really pretty frame. I do have lots of customers that use these for stitching, and they enjoy it and they like them. They're very, very lightweight, which is really nice. It comes in a 6-inch size and a 4-inch size, and they're very, very easy to use. This is my own personal preference, like I said, because I like my fabric to remain really nice and tight. For me, the fabric slips a little bit in this as I'm stitching, so that's why it's not my favorite hoop for stitching, but I love it for framing. Similarly, these are called spring tension hoops. It's a plastic outer hoop with a metal inner. You squeeze the 2 little tabs together, and that's how you get the inner hoop out of the plastic outer ring. Same as the other one, for me, this doesn't hold the fabric tight enough, so I don't use this very often. But it is really, it's one of the easiest hoops to get fabric in and out of, so that makes that, that's what's handy about this, is that it's very easy to get fabric in and out of those. These are the faux wood plexi hoops. These are great. These are great framing hoops. Again, use them all the time to frame finished hoops. I love how they look. They're also great stitching hoops. They hold fabric tension really well. They're actually a little bit tough to pull apart. I get my floss tangled in the spring ones. Yeah, I found that I had that problem too, because if you can see, this is open here, so I had that same exact problem. My floss was getting stuck in here as I was stitching, and it was driving me crazy. So I don't use that very often. So this is how these work. The inner hoop, and again, it's similar to the Eversewn, where the inner ring has this ridge that the outer ring sits in, so it locks your fabric in place. So it keeps your fabric really nice and tight while you stitch. So I like these hoops for stitching a lot. And I've done cross stitch and embroidery in these, and they're great. So these come in, I have these in 5 different sizes. I have 3 circular ones and 2 of these oval ones. This is the larger oval sized hoop. And then in the round, the largest one I have is about a 6-inch. They're made in Japan. These are made by Olympus. So the sizes are in centimeters, not inches. So it's a little bit smaller than a 6-inch. It's like 5 3/4 inches. And then one that's about 3 inches and one that's about 2.5. This is, I think, about 5 by 8. And then I have a smaller one that's like 3 by 5. So, so these are the faux wood flexi hoops. I like those a lot. These are called Morgan hoops. And these are plastic, and they have the ridge inside. But what makes these different is that the outer hoop also has a ridge in here that sits, they match up. It's got this nice big nut to tighten it. These hold your fabric. It doesn't budge. It does not move. That ridge really locks it in place. I first discovered these hoops when I was doing punch needle, because when you're doing punch needle, if you're not familiar with punch needle, it's the one that looks like this, that's kind of 3-dimensional. You need your fabric to be drum tight or the stitches won't hold. So that's when I discovered Morgan hoops, and these hold your fabric really, really tight. So if you're looking to do punch needle embroidery, or you just like a really secure hoop, Morgan hoops are fantastic. They come in 5-inch and 7-inch size. And again, kind of similar to the Eversewn, the screw is encased in this plastic so your thread doesn't get stuck in it. The only thing is that it does have kind of this long bit here, so floss can get wrapped up in here sometimes. But overall, this is another really, and it's a lightweight plastic hoop. So this is a really handy one. These are Auburn hoops. They are AUBURN. This is it's a heavy duty. They're handmade by a couple. The inner hoop is really tough to get out. So you can stitch in these, absolutely. Fabric holds really well. As you saw, it's tough to get this out. So it holds your fabric really, really well. I don't stitch in this because for me it's too heavy. This is a solid piece of wood. It is a gorgeous framing hoop. I have a few of them, and they look really beautiful when you put your finished piece in there. Definitely go check them out. They're on Instagram. They have their website, because they have all sorts of, they have like different shapes of like states and hey Matt, and squares and circles and oval. You should definitely go check them out. So it's a different kind of hoop. You can stitch in them. You can even do punch needle in them. They hold the fabric that tight and that well. So that's a really nice option. And then I think the last hoop that I have here to show you is the Hoopla plastic hoops. Normally, you guys know that I'm not a huge fan of plastic. done a ton in my shop to try to minimize the amount of plastic. Hoops is somewhere where I make an exception because plastic hoops, they hold fabric really, really nice and tight. They're lightweight, and they're really easy to use. So the hoopla hoops are really popular because the inner hoop has this little kind of ridge on the front of the hoop. So you put your fabric on top of this and then slide your hoop in. And because of that little ridge here, your fabric gets caught behind that and it doesn't slide out. So these, again, hold fabric tension really nice and tight. They're your standard hoop. You've got the, to tighten it up here. This is exposed, so your thread can get stuck in here. I love how auburn hoops look, but they're hard to get your finished work centered. As you saw, I agree with you. It does take a little bit of work. If you saw me just try to pull this out, these are really tight. So trying to get it in and not shifting, it can be a little finicky, but it can be done. It takes some time, but they're so beautiful. They look so nice and they frame up really nicely. So I think that was all of the hoops. I'm sure that I will find something later. And I think that was everything that I had to share with you guys. The only other thing that I have to let you know is that I am bringing back, so way back, way pre-pandemic times, I used to do a stitching bee, like an in-person Friday night craft night at a sewing studio here in Durham. We obviously can't gather quite yet, so I'm going to start doing a virtual craft night, one Friday a month. The first one is going to be next week, Friday, March 19th. There's no specific topic. It's really just a chance to connect and stitch together. I had the opportunity to do that when QuiltCon was going on, and it was such a joy. It was so nice to be able to just connect with folks and sit and talk and hear about what life is like in their part of the country, in their part of the world. So I kind of want to recreate that. And there's no fee. It's for free. I am limiting the groups to 12, just because I think any more than that, then it kind of gets unmanageable to really talk and connect. So if you head over to the shop, you'll notice that there's a new tab now called Classes and Events. Click on there and you will see the links to register for I have the March one up and the April one up, and you just need to sign up, and then I'll send you the Zoom link, and we can stitch together. And keep an eye on that Classes and Events tab, because there's some fun and exciting stuff coming to that section, hopefully in April. And that's about it. So thank you all so much for joining me tonight. As ever, if you have any questions on anything that I showed you here, anything, feel free to message me, leave it in the comments, and I'll try to get back to you. So thanks so much. I'll see you guys again soon. Bye.